Do you enjoy watching epic movies? If you do, then this story should interest you. It's 1848, and a young Swiss immigrant named John Sutter has just made a monumental discovery in California: gold. Yes, while building a sawmill, John discovered gold on his land. Sounds like great news, right? But this was just the beginning of something bigger than John himself. This discovery was what sparked what we know today as the California Gold Rush. This drawing thousands of immigrants from all over the world to America, especially from China. Unfortunately, despite being tied to such a significant event, Sutter's own fortunes didn't flourish. But that's a story for another day. Let's focus on one important figure: Feng Se. A Chinese immigrant, like many others, arrived with hopes of striking it, rich. But upon arrival, Feng quickly realized that the gold rush wasn't the golden opportunity it seemed. The harsh reality was that as a Chinese immigrant, he wasn't allowed to own a land or file claims. He had to work in mines or the railroad for minimal wages, often, much less than white workers. Feng Se eventually built a successful business from scratch in Los Angeles, making him one of the wealthiest Chinese businessmen in California. But that's not even where I'm going. His journey highlights a key point: immigrants, especially non-European ones, they faced severe barriers in accessing financial services in 19th century America. And that brings me to our topic for today: accessing financial services as an immigrant in America. Once again, welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm your host, Tolulokwe Michael. If this video gives you something useful at all, don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button. Now, let's rewind a bit. Imagine the early 1800s. Waves of immigrants from Ireland, Germany, and China were arriving in the US, drawn by the same promise of prosperity. Like Feng Se, they arrived with hope and ambition, but the truth is that the US financial system back then was built for the few, not the many. Banks catered mostly to wealthy landowners, and immigrants were largely shut out of the formal financial system. They couldn't easily open bank accounts, get loans, or even invest in property. Now, without access to these tools, the American dream remained a distant goal for many of them. Fast forward to the early 1900s, the Industrial Revolution is booming, and with it comes a new wave of immigrants from Italy, Russia, and Poland. Many of these new arrivals found themselves in low-wage jobs, just like Feng Se, and they struggled to integrate into the US financial system. They were unable to secure credit or loans, making it nearly impossible to climb the economic ladder. The truth is, while America promised opportunity, the financial system was riddled with barriers that made it difficult for those immigrants to participate fully. This pattern of exclusion persisted through much of the 20th century, and this created a divide that many immigrant communities are still trying to overcome today. Even in 2024, immigrants continue to face challenges navigating this complex financial landscape. So, despite contributing immensely to the economy, immigrants often find themselves on the outskirts of the system, hindered by barriers like credit invisibility, high fees, and financial exclusion. But it doesn't have to be this way. So today, we're going to break down exactly how whether you've just arrived at JFK with your luggage or you've been in the US for a few years, how you can successfully navigate the US financial system, not just that, and thrive. The current challenges, most importantly, practical steps you can take to ensure financial success in America. That is what you're going to be getting today. Whether you're coming from Nigeria, Mexico, India, or the Philippines, this information is very vital. It does not matter where you're coming from. So if I were you, I'll sit tight, and by the end of this video, you'll walk away with a roadmap for financial success in America. So One fact anyone can hardly dispute is that America has always been a nation built by immigrants. From the early 800s to today, the waves of people coming from all corners of the world have shaped the country in profound ways. But let's talk about what has remained consistent: the financial challenges immigrants face. That's consistent. Do you know that it wasn't until the late 19th and early 20th century that immigrant-focused banks like the Bank of Italy, which later became Bank of America, began to emerge, providing basic financial services to those who were previously excluded? Fast forward to today, and while we've made some progress, the financial hurdles still exist. According to a study by the Pew Research Center in 2024, immigrants, particularly Black and Hispanic immigrants, are still more likely to face financial insecurity compared to native-born Americans. In fact, the study found that 32% of immigrant households experience difficulty in securing financial services compared to 18% of native-born households. Why is it so hard for immigrants to break into the US financial system? That's the question everyone is asking. I know you're asking the same question, right? First thing first, many new immigrants don't have a credit score or financial history in the US. And that makes it difficult to secure loans, credit cards, or even rent an apartment. Imagine coming to a new country, finding a job, but not being able to get approved for a basic credit card because the system has no record of your financial behavior. You're essentially starting from scratch, and that's a major hurdle. I'll be talking about this at various times on this channel, so be on the lookout for that. Now, back to the matter at hand. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, nearly 26 million Americans are considered credit invisible, meaning they have no credit history. And guess what? A disproportionate number of these individuals are immigrants. To get a grasp of these staggering figures, you need to understand the American financial system. So, the US financial system is built on a few key pillars: banking, credit, debt management, and investing. If you don't understand how these pillars work, it's easy to fall behind. Now let's dive into each one and break down what you need to know. Our first stop is banking. The first thing every immigrant needs to do is open a bank account. But here is where the problem starts. Many immigrants are unsure of which type of account to open, or worse, they fall into predatory banking practices with hidden fees. Most major US banks like Wells Fargo, Chase, and Bank of America will allow you to open an account with just a passport, proof of address, and ITIN. That is your individual taxpayer identification number, even if you don't yet have a social security number. Credit unions are also a great alternative, as they often have lower fees and provide more personalized services. So here is a tip for you. When choosing a bank, ask about their fees. Some banks charge for overdrafts, minimum balances, or even for having an account. Okay, so a report from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found that Americans paid $12.4 billion in overdraft fees alone in 2020. Don't fall into the trap of paying unnecessary fees. Look for a bank that meets your needs and charges minimal fees. Once you have your bank account sorted, the next thing you should be looking at is building credit. In the US, your credit score is everything. It determines whether you can get a loan, rent an apartment, or even get a job in some cases. The problem is, most immigrants arrived with no credit history, which makes it incredibly hard to break into the system. But again, don't worry, you can build credit from scratch. The easiest way to start is with a secured credit card. This type of card requires you to put down a deposit which acts as collateral. Use it to make small purchases and pay it off in full each month. In fact, before the credit bureau, check your credit. Okay? Like a friend of mine who arrived from Ghana 2 years ago, he opened a secure credit card, used it wisely, and within 18 months, he had a credit score of 750. He's now able to rent an apartment without a co-signer and recently got approved for an auto loan as well. According to Experian, 62% of new immigrants in the US start with a credit score of less than 620, which is considered poor. However, with disciplined use of a secure credit card, immigrants can build a score above 700 within 2 years. So if this is where you are in your journey, it can get better with a little discipline. Okay, now let's talk about debt. If, like me, you think of debt as double-edged sword, you are right. You see, the US financial system thrives on credit and debt, but it's not as straightforward as it seems. On the one hand, using credit responsibly can help you build wealth. On the other hand, mismanaging it can lead to financial ruin. And let's be honest, many immigrants get caught in the trap of high interest debt because they don't fully understand the system. For example, credit card debt is one of the most common pitfalls. It's tempting to spend money you don't have, but high interest rate can quickly spiral out of control. My advice is to only spend what you can pay off at the end of the month. Anything more than that, then you are calling for trouble. Okay? A report by CNBC says the average American household carries about $6,000 in credit card debt. Immigrant households, particularly those who are new to the country, are more likely to carry higher balances due to a lack of financial literacy. So I hope you're learning something. Okay? Then, there is also the part about investing. This is one area where immigrants tend to hesitate, but it's one of the most powerful tools for building wealth. Do you want to hear a secret? Do you want me to tell you? You don't need to be rich to invest. Yes, with apps like Robinhood or Acorns, you can start investing with as little as $5. And that wasn't a sponsored ad, no. But what I'm saying is, the key is to start small, be consistent, and focus on long-term growth. Compound interest works in your favor the longer you invest. Whether you are looking to buy stocks, bonds, or even real estate, the earlier you start, the better. I will explain with a 2024 Pew Research report. This report found that while immigrants are less likely to invest in the stock market, those who do often see significant returns within 5 to 10 years. One study participant, Miriam from Mexico, started investing $50 a month into an index fund about 10 years ago. Do you know where she is at? Presently, her investments have grown to over $12,000 thanks to the power of compound interest. So, it's really a game of waiting. And that brings me to a very key point. Tax. One of the most confusing aspects of the US financial system, especially for immigrants, is the complex tax system. Whether you're on a work visa or permanent resident, you are required to file taxes in the US every year. According to a 2023 study, more than 45% of immigrants were unaware of the specific tax obligations in their first year. To avoid penalties, it's very important to understand your tax responsibilities. If you are unsure, use resources like the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, that is VITA program. This offers free tax help to immigrants and those with lower incomes. On the other hand, if you are self-employed or working in the gig economy, make sure to set aside money for taxes as they won't be automatically deducted from your income. Remember, IRS is always watching. Let's zoom in on the experience of Black immigrants. Yes, studies have shown that while Black immigrants are often better educated than their US-born counterpart, they still face significant economic hurdles. For instance, Black immigrant households have median wealth levels that are 25% lower than other immigrant groups. The question is why? Discrimination in the financial system plays a major role, as well as lower access to high-paying jobs and affordable credits. Yet, despite these barriers, Black immigrants contribute enormously to the US economy. In 2020 alone, they spent more than $400 billion, and that number keeps growing. This is the statistic you want to be a part of. So, to succeed, it's essential to arm yourself with knowledge. You see, navigating the US financial system as a new immigrant is challenging, yes, but it is not impossible. How? By understanding the basics, like how to build credit, invest in your future, and debt management. You can set yourself up for long-term success. In this game, knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better prepared you'll be to make smart financial decisions. So guys, this is just the beginning. In upcoming videos, we're going to dive deeper into topics like how to start a business as an immigrant, how to navigate healthcare costs, and even how to invest in US market. So, if this video helped you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content that will help you take control of your financial future. I hope I've been able to leave you better than I met you. Bye for now.